Break it.
Good afternoon, everyone. That's a good mic. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to introduce my fellow council members who are here today with me. Joining me is Mayor Pro Tem Alicia Weintraub, Council Member Ed Albrecht, Council Member James Brazagian, and Council Member Peter Kraut. And I see straight in front of me, I'm going to miss someone if I can't see him in my line of sight, but we also want to acknowledge our Mayor Emeritus Dennis Washburn, former mayor, founding mayor of the city of Calabasas. And if there are any other our city managers hiding over there, Kindon Meek as well. Thank you to all staff for being here. My name is David Shapiro, and I'm the mayor of the city, and I am thrilled to be here today yet again, honoring all of our veterans. I'd like to introduce now the Army and Air Force ROTC from USC, and I'll ask everyone to stand for the color guard, please. Color guard, present the colors. Now I'd like to call upon Calabasas High School student and director of instrumental, Asha Patel, to perform the national anthem. Thank you. Please have a seat, everyone. Thank you. Another big round of applause for USC ROTC, Army and Air Force, and Calabasas High School Zone, Asha Patel. Great job. I just want to say again, thank you all for being here. It is great to be together to celebrate and honor all veterans who have served today. We're here together to do something positive. We need that. We all need it right now. And I do want to give a special shout out before I start my comments and my colleagues start as well, to our everything, Ani Kerdilian, who did a great job putting everything together, and our staff and our city manager. Let's give her tremendous applause. And if you'll notice today, if you happen to be here 4 years ago, we have an addition to the Veterans Garden, and that's right up here, the flags for each branch of the service, and that was beautiful as well. It is wonderful to be here today on this special occasion. On Veterans Day, we honor those who've served or are serving our great nation. We honor those who run towards and ran towards danger, all to protect us, to ensure we continue to enjoy our freedoms and our rights. Veterans Day is normally on the 11th day of November to commemorate the day in 1918 when the armistice ending World War I went into effect, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In fact, Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day. Remember, World War I was long, it was brutal. It was so called the Great War to end all wars. Sadly, that was not the case. But this year, on the 11th day of the 11th month, happens to run on a Saturday, so we get to celebrate a little early and be together. It's a day we honor not only veterans we've lost in battle, but all veterans. All those who've served in our military during times of war and at times of peace. We see veterans amongst us today, and we say, thank you for your service. Veterans Day is a federal holiday observed annually for honoring military veterans in the United States Armed Forces. At the urging of major veterans organizations, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day in 1954. Veterans Day is different from Memorial Day. Veterans Day honors service of all U.S. veterans, while Memorial Day honors those who have died while in military service. In May, and there's also Women's Veterans Day, June 12th, which is recognized by California and a dozen other states that specifically honors women who have served in the U.S. military. I am so glad and so honored that we in the city of Calabasas are able to put on this special event today as a way to honor and say thank you for your service. Thank you for being here today, and may God bless all of you, and may God bless the United States of America. Our communications department has put together a brief video showing friends and neighbors, Calabasas residents or relatives of our residents who have served. We want to do, let's go ahead and hear it. Thank you. See that. Thank you to our great communications department for that wonderful video and for all the Calabasas residents who provided the photos. We wanted to do something special to honor our veterans. So today, for the first time, each member of our Calabasas City Council, who's sitting up here or standing up here soon, will honor one local veteran. And I'm going to have the privilege of starting to honor Art Hershey, United States Army 1956 to 1965. Art spent nearly 10 years of combined active duty and active reserve time in the U.S. Army in the early days of the Cold War, from 1956 into 1965. He began as a non-commissioned officer, reaching the rank of Staff Sergeant during his first 6 years, before becoming a first lieutenant during his last 4 years. His active duty assignments occurred at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and he was then assigned to the Presidio in San Francisco for his active reserve commitment. He was heavily involved in covert domestic military assignments as well as Army civil affairs. His duties were composed initially with extracting information from select foreign nationals without their knowledge or awareness and supplying such data to Army Command at his headquarters at the Presidio. That meant ferreting out information from foreign nationals about their contacts and day-to-day activities. It also involved providing a vast array of disinformation to these nationals in order to confuse or mislead their leadership outside the country. He ultimately became Chief Administrative Officer for his unit at the rank of Acting Captain before formally resigning his commission in the fall of 1965. Today, I'd like to honor Art Hershey. Please come. Now I'd like to introduce our Mayor Pro Tem, Alicia Weintraub, to recognize our next veteran.
Thank you, David. I'd like to honor Bill Davis, United States Navy from 1959 to 1964. When Bill enlisted in the Navy, he was just 19 years old, had just flunked out of engineering college, and had no idea what he wanted to do with his life. 5 years later, he was working full-time as an airplane mechanic for TWA. While attending engineering school, he earned a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and graduated on the dean's list. Bill was raised in a small town with a population of only 600 people in upstate New York. He says his time in the Navy provided him the worldly experience and solid foundation he needed for the rest of his life, and he is profoundly proud of and grateful for those 5 years. Bill worked as an air crewman for 3 years in a Navy aviation squadron that most people never heard of because of what they were doing was classified. He traveled all over the Pacific, from our west coast, the Aleutian Islands, Japan, Okinawa, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, the Philippines, Wake Island, and Hawaii. The last 18 months of his enlistment, he was stationed at Nazglico, Georgia, where he was training radar intercept officers. Bill says being stationed in the Deep South during the mid-1960s gave him a first-hand view of the civil rights strife that we were experiencing as a country. Today, I'd like to honor Bill Davis, and if I can just add, a few years ago, I had the honor to be at a Veterans Day celebration at Bay Laurel, where Bill was honored by one of his grandsons. And it was just really amazing to see the pride that your whole family had in your service. So I'm very honored we can do this for you today. And now I'd like to call up Council Member Ed Albrecht to recognize our next veteran.
Thank you, Alicia. It's just an honor to stand here today and be with so many that have contributed to our country's preservation and protection. I'm honored to honor Dr. Howard Hirsch, United States Army, 1967 through 1969. Howard Hirsch was already an orthopedic surgeon in private practice when he received his draft notice in September of 1967. He reported to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio for 6 weeks of basic training and was assigned to Fort McPherson in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Hirsch was the first orthopedic surgeon they had at that base since the Civil War. 1 year later, he received orders to go to Vietnam and was assigned to the 12th Evac Hospital, Cu Chi, Vietnam. He stayed there for another year. Once again, he operated solo, literally, having been the only orthopedic surgeon at the busiest hospital in Vietnam. Howard was promoted to major in U.S. Army in July of 1969. That same year, he returned home and resumed private practice in orthopedic surgery in the San Fernando Valley. Today, I'd like to honor Dr. Howard Hirsch and present this plaque. And next, Councilmember James Bazagian.
Ed's very modest. He didn't mention that he himself is a veteran, so we can give a round of applause to him and Dennis Washburn. Today I'd like to honor John Corcoran Jr., who served in the United States Air Force from 1965 to 1969. John Corcoran Jr. joined the Air Force as a second lieutenant in 1965. He served 3.5 years as an information officer at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. During that time, he spent 3+ months as a field information officer with the 463rd Troop Carrier Wing at Mactan Island, the Philippines, and Saigon, Vietnam. John says the highlight of his service was during Mactan duty, where he flew as a crew member for some 100 combat support missions in C-130s in Vietnam, writing about Air Force pilots and crew members, and helped set up the base information in Mactan. John is the son of an Air Force career officer, his late father, Lieutenant Colonel John H. Corcoran, United States Air Force, whose long career included 35 missions, flying B-17 bombers on combat missions during World War II. John Jr. served in the Air Force for 4 years and retired as a captain in 1969. Today, I'd like to honor John Corcoran Jr. as a veteran. I'd now like to introduce Councilmember Peter Kraut.
Thank you, James. Today, I'd like to honor Dr. Dan Stepanowski, United States Navy 1990 to 1994. Dan served 4.5 years in the Navy, first on the destroyer USS Waddell, and later on the then-named cruiser USS Chancellorsville. While in the Navy, Dan was engaged in counter-narcotics operations off the coast of South America and in Operation Southern Watch in the Persian Gulf. He received the Naval Achievement Medal, the Navy Joint Meritorious Unit Commendation, and the Kuwait Liberation Medal. Dan was born in Philadelphia, attended Villanova, where he received his bachelor's degree in physics, and later earned his doctorate at UCLA. He currently serves as the superintendent of Las Virgenes Unified School District and is a real partner in the community. Today, I'd like to honor Dr. Dan Stepanowski for his service. And now I'd like to call Mayor Shapiro back to the podium.
Thank you, Peter. I just want to say, 4 years ago, it was kind of a dream of our city council and our city to have this Veterans Garden, and look at what it's become, look at what we can do every year. We can have wonderful celebrations of all our veterans. So congratulations to those honored, and a big round of applause to all our veterans who are here today. Thank you. It's great to be with you all today, and there's a group of veterans near and dear to everyone's heart there, and I saw Ed out there, Wings Over Wendy's, so I'd like to call up Bridget Nelson from the Little Learners Clubhouse, Calabasas Clubhouse Preschool, who has a special dedication to our very own Wings Over Wendy's organization.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bridget Nelson, and I am one of the directors at the Calabasas Clubhouse. And this year, to honor our veterans, our children have created a handprint flag. So this can be hung and used as a memento and token of our appreciation to you for your dedication and service. And all of our children's 115 hands could not fit on the flag, and we had a little argument. So some of our children gave their handprints and made really nice cards. And so we just want to thank you guys for your dedication and service to our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. And you'll take that with you, Ed, right back? Every meeting? Okay. As we near the end of today's festivities, I'd like to call upon the fantastic Calabasas High School Band, under the direction of Aaron Cohen, to play the U.S. Armed Forces Medley Song. thank you to the Calabasas High School Band under the direction of Aaron Cohen. And a big thank you. Let's one round of applause again for our tremendous staff who put on this program here today at the Veterans Day. Thank you all. I'd now like to call upon the color guard to retire the colors. This concludes our ceremony today. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming out today, and I'd especially like to thank all our veterans. And I'd also ask all our veterans to please join us when we are concluded here, up here for some photos, and everybody else, please enjoy some refreshments in the plaza. Have a great day, and thank you for your service. Thank you.
Oh.